This is our first time growing this red amaranth. Look at that color. It's absolutely stunning.
Guten Yardning, everybody. You know, if I had never grown microgreens before, I know the first question I would ask. Why? The word micro means small, and that's exactly what we have here. 2 trays of really small greens. So I guess one benefit is they don't take up a lot of space, but really, why on earth would we invest space and time in growing these? There has to be some kind of benefit. And today I'm going to tell you exactly why we put these in the soil and what we expect from them. According to the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, the nutrients contained in these microgreens are anywhere from 4 to 40 times the value in their mature counterparts. So we're getting what I would call concentrated veggies in these little trays. And so if you could consume something that was a 40th of the size and still get the same benefit, why wouldn't you? Nutritional value is certainly one of the reasons why we're investing our time and our space into growing these microgreens. But that's not it. They also grow exceptionally quickly. Some of these are harvestable within a week to 10 days. At maximum, most of these are harvested by 14 days in, so they're a quick turnaround on crop. They're incredibly easy to plant. In fact, you can plant them in just about any kind of container that you have. And I'll show you an example of that here shortly. And the return on investment, the ROI on these vegetables is pretty high. Just consider the last time you went to the store to buy some of these mini greens, organic microgreens, and think about how much that cost. And so here we're able to replicate, reproduce this process, successively plant these greens over and over and over again, and it's really, really easy. And of course, the most important element that we're able to bring to the table here, the taste. Some of these are milder, some of these are stronger, but with such a variety of microgreens, and believe me, this is only a very few of the varieties that you can grow, the taste is outstanding. So let's first look at where we plant our microgreens. The where to me means a number of things. 1, location, which we'll talk about in a second. But 2, the type of tray or container that you can plant these in. And really, all you're looking for is something that's fairly shallow. And this is just a simple 4x4 seeding tray. So something shallow that you can fit a little bit of soil in. This is a juice cup that we don't want to send back out there because it's made out of food-safe plastic. So we can reuse this, we can upcycle this into a little tiny microgreen tray. Cereal in a container, more like microgreens in a food-safe container. This tray is about 1 inch deep, a little 5x5 tray, I would say. This came with something else that we ordered. It's made out of a similar material to what you would find an egg carton in. So we're going to use it. And these are almost ideal. These are little food trays that you can get just about anywhere. I think we got this from our grocery store. Maybe it had some meat in it, but we know it's food safe. And these work perfectly. About 1 inch deep. We don't need a lot of depth. These microgreens don't have deep roots, but this even comes with a cover that we can use during the growing process. And these are just a few of the options that we have that we're already growing our microgreens in. Experimentation. One of the benefits of growing these plants is that you can basically grow them in any type of container and really anywhere. So a lot of people grow these on their windowsills, in kitchens, wherever there's access to light, whether it's sunlight or the type of light that we have here with the grow lights, or just light in general. You can grow these year-round, just about anywhere. I'm actually going to talk you through some of what we've planted already. These are speckled peas microgreens. So speckled peas, they're incredibly loaded with nutrients. And you can see these are actually already developing some of their first true leaves. And so they're just about ready to harvest. We're going to let them go a couple more days. But one thing you can notice about how we planted these is we sprinkled some soil on top of where we put the seeds. You can see that as they push up the soil as well. You can also see
just how big the roots are growing already and how compact they are. One of the questions that often comes up is, can I harvest my microgreens and then expect a second crop? Well, for the microgreens we're harvesting, that's not going to happen. And one of the reasons it's not going to happen should be what you can see right here. Look how densely this red amaranth is packed together. This is our first time growing this red amaranth. Look at that color. It's absolutely stunning. This amaranth is packed with nutrients. If you name it, it's probably in there. Zinc, copper, calcium, it's all there. I mean, it's incredibly nutrient dense and it's incredibly densely grown. And so if each of these has a root structure, a root system growing down, and you can see, I don't want to hurt it, but you can see it starting to develop right in here, the roots coming down. There's no possible way that there's going to be enough room for these to develop and regrow. There would be far too much stress. And once you do a cutting off of here, you're already stressing the plant. Their roots just don't have the strength to bring them back from that. I suppose if we planted it in such a way that it was less densely planted, then of course it could develop into a full-size plant. But again, that's not our goal. So if I let these sit for a long period of time, would they eventually become mature plants? Probably not. And the reason they're not going to grow into mature plants is because, again, there's a lack of space. And the way I compare this to, I think the easiest way to compare it to, is to think about growing carrots. If you grew carrots this densely, would you expect to actually have full-size carrots? No, the end result would be, without thinning it out, just a bunch of tiny, underdeveloped carrots. By the way, this is broccoli greens, which have a high amount of magnesium, copper, zinc. Oftentimes people don't have those nutrients in their system, and so what we're talking about is easily adding them in. So if I tried to let these mature fully, what would happen is the stress of not being able to develop a big enough root structure, in addition to the lack of nutrients, because these would be drawing nutrients out of the soil left and right, and there's just not very much soil. An inch of soil is just not going to cut it, and the end result would be that they would die back. So what's ideal for all of these microgreens is that we take them and we harvest them at the peak of their development. And often, again, that peak of development occurs somewhere around 10 to 14 days. And some of these we're looking for the first true leaves to form, and others we're looking for something right about this size. And I'm 100% serious when I tell you that when you harvest these, you are going to experience a whole different level of taste. This particular set of seeds, and this is a great example of how you can see the other method of planting, which is just to lay the seeds down on the surface and not cover them with any soil. You can see the seeds right there. Some of them germinated, some of them didn't. This is actually from one of those Back to the Roots microgreen grow kits. This is the rainbow mix, which has radish, kohlrabi, and cabbage. Man, the taste is so good. We also planted, and you can see them right here, we also planted the Mighty Mix from Back to the Roots. It's got broccoli, kale, kohlrabi, and cabbage. And the reason we planted these, or the reason we got these, is we found them for about $2 each. They're normally about $12, which is a little bit pricey. And so the return on investment wouldn't have really been there. But you can grow 2 of these in here, 2 sets of these. Again, for $2 each, not shabby at all. All the microgreens you see here have only been growing for about 8 days. And you can see just how quickly they're developing. Some of these are folding over here a little bit in the back. We're going to get some water in there. We also then are just about ready to harvest these. We're going to wait a couple more days just in general. But look at how plentiful they are. They come up quickly, and on top of all of that, they're so tasty.
So it's not just the nutrition, the taste, there's just so many pieces that bring this together that make growing microgreens a great decision. So if that's something that might interest you, we suggest that you get started ASAP. And keep in mind that succession planting is super easy with these. You start one day, 3 or 4 days later, you start the next set, and you're going to have a consistent cycle of delicious greens. And on top of all that, there are so many varieties out there available We showed you 5, 6, 7 varieties today, and there's so many more out there that we're going to be experimenting with, and it's all about your taste buds. I know you hear people say, don't grow what you won't eat. So try something out. You're not going to be at a loss if you do. Try something out, and if you don't like it, try something different. We have a future video coming where we show you from start planting to finish. So stay tuned for that. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and as always, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.